Oh, honey, if you thought the drama surrounding Diddy was just another celebrity hiccup, buckle up, because what just dropped could end his reign for good. We're talking about leaked footage, panicked statements, a mansion raid, and a rising tsunami of accusations that are turning this music mogul's world upside down. From being the king of hip-hop to possibly becoming the villain of his own story, Diddy, aka Sean Combs, aka Puffy, is at the center of what might be the most explosive scandal in modern music history. Let's get into the dirty details because, Babby, this tea is boiling. From mogul to monster, Diddy's dark double life. Diddy built an empire. Bad Boy Records, clothing brands, colognes, you name it. He wasn't just rich, he defined a whole generation of hip-hop. But while the cameras captured his wins, behind the velvet rope, a very different man was in control. Rumors have followed Diddy for years. Whispers of manipulation, dark parties, and a fierce need for control. But now, the whispers are screaming. And the scariest part, the infamous freak-off parties. These weren't just wild celebrity gatherings. No, ma'am. Behind the glitter and champagne was something twisted. Guests have described the vibe at these parties as deeply unsettling, more like a power trip than a celebration. Reports say attendees were pressured into drinking too much, humiliated in front of others, and even physically harmed. Some vomited, others passed out. Allegedly, Diddy didn't just host these events, he filmed them, turned trauma into entertainment for power, for control. And it all fits a disturbing pattern. You know the nickname Puffy? Cute, right? Wrong. It came from his rage. When Diddy got mad, he'd blow up, huffing and puffing like a ticking bomb. And now that volatile temper is being re-examined under a much more chilling lens. The Cassie tape, a moment that shattered everything. Then came the footage that made people gasp out loud. CNN dropped security video showing what looked like Diddy assaulting his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. The internet lost its mind. It was real, it was raw, and it was horrifying. That video wasn't just damning, it was defining. For the first time, fans couldn't deny what many had tried to excuse for years. Public opinion flipped. Diddy, once seen as a businessman with swagger, was now being seen as a man with a terrifying history. The lawsuits began piling up. One by one, women started coming forward. Enter 50 Cent. The petty king has receipts. You know 50 Cent wasn't gonna sit this one out. He's the king of shade and the master of timing, and the second this scandal popped off, he pounced. 50 is now producing a tell-all docuseries about Diddy's alleged dark empire, and trust, he's not holding back. The Netflix buzz is real. Sources say this doc will expose years of manipulation, abuse, and maybe even criminal behavior. The receipts are coming and Diddy's not ready, and guess what? The world is living for it. The more 50 spills, the harder it'll be for Diddy to dodge accountability. Because when someone like 50 Cent, who knows the industry inside out, starts talking, people listen. The whistleblowers, names, faces, and chilling stories. Adria English, April Lamprose, Rodney Jones, Joy Dickerson. One by one, these brave individuals stepped into the spotlight and said, enough. Adria attended several freak-off parties. At first, it felt like just a wild night out. But she says each party became more disturbing, more dehumanizing. Power plays, psychological games, alleged abuse disguised as celebration. April Lamprose, a model and actress, dropped another bombshell. She says Diddy filmed her without consent, an outright violation. She says it wasn't a one-off. It was part of a twisted pattern. Rodney Jones gave us a peek behind the business curtain, and it's ugly. He says working with Diddy wasn't about music or dreams, was submission. Diddy allegedly controlled every detail, down to who Jones could talk to. Business? No. This was domination. And then there's Joy Dickerson, who says Diddy repeatedly belittled her in front of peers. Not once, not twice, always, and she's done being quiet. Joy refuses to let him bully her into silence. These aren't random people, they're insiders. They lived it, and now they're blowing the whistle. The Jane Doe lawsuit that started it all. Enter Jane Doe, the woman whose case shattered the silence and sent shockwaves through the industry. Her allegations are jaw-dropping. Emotional manipulation, coercion, financial control, and intimidation to keep her silent. Jane's lawsuit claims that Diddy used everything from his money to his lawyers to trap her. Her voice, her freedom, her life, controlled, silenced. She says she tried to leave multiple times. Each time she was allegedly threatened, isolated, cut off, emotionally battered. She says she was trapped for years. And what's most terrifying? Her story is now being echoed by dozens of others. The details? Eerily similar. The patterns? Almost identical. Cassie's breakup, the domino that toppled the throne. Let's rewind to 2018, when Cassie finally walked away from her decade-long relationship with Diddy. The world saw it as just another celebrity split. But behind closed doors, that was the crack in Diddy's castle walls. Cassie's silence turned into whispers turned into stories. And the stories, they were chilling. Sources say Cassie was under Diddy's thumb for years. He allegedly controlled her career, her friendships, even her daily decisions. A full-blown psychological cage. Her exit gave others the courage to speak up. She was the first domino. And baby, when that one fell, the whole line came crashing down. Jane Doe's case blew wide open, back to Jane Doe. Her lawsuit didn't just make headlines, it opened a floodgate. According to court documents, Diddy allegedly isolated Jane from her support system, restricted her access to funds, and even used lawyers to intimidate her into silence. He allegedly painted himself as her only option, her savior, and her captor. This case revealed something more sinister than just celebrity misbehavior. It hinted at a man who built his empire not just with talent, but with psychological warfare. And now, Jane's story has become the central pillar of the investigation unraveling his legacy. The house raid that shook Hollywood. Let's talk about the moment Diddy really started sweating. The house raid. Police stormed Diddy's $40 million, 0-cent mansion like it was an action movie. No gentle knock, no private request, full force, armed with search warrants and cameras rolling. They weren't there to admire the chandeliers, they wanted evidence. And baby, sources say they found more than just designer suits and Grammys. This wasn't about hearsay anymore, this was real, tangible, dangerous. The law was no longer playing Diddy's game, and the mogul, once protected by power and PR, was now in full panic mode. As soon as news of the house raid hit the internet, it was like striking a match in a room full of gasoline. Social media exploded. Celebs started unfollowing him in silence. His business partners, backpedaling. Brand deals, quietly scrubbing his name from websites. The music industry's golden mogul was now radioactive, and Diddy, according to insiders, he wasn't just rattled. He was in full-on crisis mode. The man who once walked red carpets with a smug smirk and diamond-drenched confidence was now barricaded behind lawyers, spinning the same tired denial script. But it was too late. Narrative had shifted. He was no longer Puff Daddy the genius. Now he was Sean Combs the predator. The victims keep coming forward, and the stories just get darker. You'd think after one or two brave whistleblowers, Diddy would have gone into damage control. But no, because the allegations kept pouring in like a tsunami. Each new story painted a bleaker, more terrifying picture. Some said he forced them to cut off family and friends, isolating them until he was their only lifeline. Others described emotional breakdowns, threats of lawsuits if they spoke out, and the constant fear of being watched. One woman even claimed Diddy monitored her phone activity to track who she talked to. And that wasn't even the worst of it. Some stories hinted at violent outbursts behind closed doors, bruises covered by designer makeup, screams muffled by luxury walls. The glamour was all a mask. Behind it was someone allegedly obsessed with control at any cost. Yes, the culture of silence and how Diddy got away with it for so long. Let's be real, this didn't happen overnight. Diddy wasn't some overnight fame junkie. He spent decades cultivating his image as untouchable. White parties in the Hamptons, Ciroc endorsements, Grammy performances, billionaire brunches. He built an empire not just with music, but with mystique. And that mystique was powerful enough to silence anyone who dared question him. People were scared. Terrified even, because Diddy wasn't just a star, he had power, real power. Industry power. He could blacklist an artist with a phone call, kill a brand deal in a heartbeat, ruin reputations, and everyone knew it. That's why so many of his victims stayed silent for so long. They feared they'd be the ones discredited, dismissed, destroyed. But now, the veil is lifting, and that power, it's slipping through his fingers like sand. The Jane Doe case becomes a movement. This isn't just about Diddy anymore. As Jane Doe's lawsuit worked its way through the courts, it became clear this wasn't just about one woman's trauma. It was a mirror held up to an industry that has long protected the powerful and punished the vulnerable. Jane Doe wasn't just suing Diddy, she was daring the entire music world to confront its demons. Her story resonated with others, fans, survivors, women who had never even met Diddy, but who saw themselves in Jane's pain. Social media turned her into a symbol, not of weakness, but of raw, courageous defiance. And that movement? It's not stopping. It's only getting louder. Cassie's courage set the tone, and now the industry is listening. It would be a crime not to acknowledge Cassie's role in this reckoning. She stayed silent for years, too long. But when she finally broke free from Diddy in 2018, everything changed. Her quiet strength, her slow but deliberate steps toward healing, they made an impact. Whispers started, conversations, and soon victims who had felt silence for years began to realize they weren't alone. Cassie's bravery created a ripple effect, and now that ripple has turned into a tidal wave. The docuseries that could end it all, 50 Cent's mic drop moment. Let's circle back to 50 Cent for a second, because what he's cooking up might just be the final nail in Diddy's diamond-studded coffin. Insiders say the documentary doesn't just rely on rumors or rehashed headlines, it's packed with receipts. Eyewitness accounts, legal records, alleged footage, voice recordings, possibly even contracts tying Diddy to hush money agreements and NDAs. 50 series is said to be aiming not just to expose Diddy, but to expose the entire system that let him thrive. Hollywood is shaking, music execs are nervous, and Diddy? Sources say he's doing everything he can behind the scenes to stop it, but 50 isn't budging. If anything, the backlash is fueling him. This doc could do for Diddy what surviving R. Kelly did for Kelly, tear away every layer of fame and expose the man beneath. What the house raid really means? A system cracking wide open. That March raid on Diddy's mansion wasn't just about collecting evidence. It was symbolic. Law enforcement has finally stopped tiptoeing around powerful men. No more hush-hush investigations, no more backroom deals, no more immunity because of celebrity status. They walked into his $40 million 0-cent estate, the crown jewel of his empire, and treated it like a crime scene, because allegedly it was. And while we don't know exactly what they found, the fact that they left with multiple boxes, digital devices, and hours of surveillance footage, it speaks volumes. The bigger picture, celebrity, control, and the culture of abuse. What we're witnessing isn't just one man's downfall, it's the unmasking of an entire system. Diddy wasn't just a bad boyfriend or a toxic boss. If the allegations are true, he was a man who used his power to systematically manipulate, silence, and violate people for years, maybe decades, and now that system is collapsing. Celebrities, fans, journalists, they're all watching, all asking, how many other Diddys are out there? How many more have been protected because of fame, wealth, and connections? The conversation is changing. Finally, what happens now? Diddy's empire is crumbling. Here's where it gets real. With lawsuits stacking up, public support evaporating, and federal authorities involved, Diddy's options are shrinking fast. Legal experts say he could face criminal charges if prosecutors believe the evidence supports it. And the lawsuits? If just one is successful, it could blow a hole straight through his empire. Brand deals are gone, invitations are drying up, and even his longtime friends are ghosting him. He's gone from the king of the VIP room to a man alone in the crosshairs of justice. But will he really face consequences? That's the million-dollar question. Diddy spent years evading scandals with settlements, PR spin, and silence. But this isn't a scandal. This is a full-blown reckoning. He's already lost in the court of public opinion. But what about the court of law? That depends on what authorities find and whether more victims are willing to testify. If Jane Doe and the others continue to fight, if 50 Cent's documentary lands like it's supposed to, if prosecutors build their case with everything from the raid, it's over. But if it fizzles, we risk sending the message that even in 2025, powerful men can still dodge consequences. Once upon a time, Sean Diddy Combs was the king of hip-hop. He ruled the red carpets, the music charts, the champagne-soaked parties. But that fairy tale is turning into a cautionary tale. If the accusations are true, then the man who once symbolized success was actually hiding something horrific behind the designer suits and studio lights. And now, now the world is watching. The walls are closing in. And for the first time in decades, Diddy doesn't control the narrative. His downfall isn't just about him. It's about justice. It's about the survivors. It's about ending the culture of silence that let this go on for far too long. So buckle up, because this story, it's far from over.